I have 2 questions that I'm going to answer today because they are about flying. I know I have some upcoming flights, so I wanted to answer these 2 questions. The first one is the person's looking for some help regarding anticipation that comes with flying. The thought of having a panic attack on the flight gets me anxious the entire week before flying. And I think to me, there's even just some keys there where it's like you're recognizing, wow, I'm feeling anxious even before I'm on the flight. That's what happens. We have thoughts, which are very well-meaning. The brain's like, I don't want to feel anxious on a plane. I don't want to have a panic attack on the plane. If I picture it, maybe I'll figure out a way to make it happen or how to better handle it. But what happens is then we're just at our home and we're already imagining having a panic attack on the flight. And we're feeling that uncomfortableness. We're feeling that anxiety. And that lets us know we're in our home. We're actually not on the plane. So it's not the plane. It's our thoughts about the plane. Oh, it's not the flight. It's my thoughts about the flight. I can even feel that without being on the flight. But what happens is when we're anticipating, we're kind of just using the past, the memories, whether it's movies we've seen, whatever stuff we've concocted in our brain. But we're not leaving room for actually this infinite possibilities and for our wisdom and common sense, which we all have, just to show up at the precise moment we need it. So if and when you started feeling panicky, and if and when you had a panic attack on the plane, your wisdom, this greater intelligence that is inside every one of us, that heals your bones, that heals your cut. So this greater intelligence is just waiting to break through at the precise moment you need it, so you don't even need to use your brain. So all this anticipation, it's like we're going to our memories, we're using our brain. And our brain is so limited compared to this expansiveness. That wisdom's like, I've got your back if you have a panic attack. You don't even need to think about it. I wonder if there has been times when you can think of when something has happened and you've just sprung into action. You're like, I didn't even think of it. So that's the first thing. If and when, whatever you're scared about, in this instance, a panic attack, if and when it happens, future you will take care of it. And that greater intelligence also, it's like, that's the same thing that like reaches out your hand if you're a parent, like to catch your kid, that you don't even think about. Another thing that came through for me, actually, so in one of my recent groups, a woman was talking about she was on a flight and there was turbulence and she just hated it. And she was holding on to the woman seated next to her and they were both just really scared and really uncomfortable. And then she noticed the woman next to them was crying. And instantly, the woman that was sharing the story, she was snapped out of it. She was like, oh my gosh, she's suffering more than me. And she went over to comfort her. And she said, oh, that happened again and again. She didn't think her way through that. She wasn't like, now stop panicking and help. And also, some of it is accepting there might be still a little bit of anticipation anxiety before a flight. But what you can do is not add on to it with your thinking. So it can be there because it's not like you have to be like, well, now I've heard this and I'm going to be completely peaceful and I'm never going to think about it the week before, because that's not what I'm saying. I'll remember everything I've said, or if any insights popped up for you, and that thought can come and it can go all on its own, because that's how thoughts work. Also, I know that sometimes I have anticipation anxiety, but it's so different than what it used to be because I no longer think there's something wrong with it, or it's a call to action, or like, yeah, I'm going to ruminate about it. I'm going to figure out a plan. So the next question is tips and tricks for in-flight relaxation. What can I do or say to myself to come back to reality? For this one, we're always going to get unproductive thoughts. And the thing is, we never need to do anything. It's not the thoughts that get us into trouble, like quote unquote trouble, but it's our thoughts on the thoughts. So about thoughts, they are totally neutral until we give them meaning. And thoughts flow all on their own. That was a huge thing for me to realize. Thought comes, we feel it, and then it flows all on its own. So there's no tips and tricks, because if I was to give you tips and tricks, you'd be going up into your intellect. You'd be having more thoughts of like, okay, here's how I'm going to get this thought to flow. When you don't even need to. Any thought can pop in and it can go all on its own. You are one thought away from a whole new experience.